Communicator Gold. His speech night comes from the Storytelling Manual and is a tale of wisdom from ancient Persia and features the incomparable Nasruddin with a speech entitled A Gainful Way to Lose a Wager. Please welcome Gavin Meikle.
Some people say that losing something is always bad. But perhaps there are times when a small loss can be transformed into a significant gain. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, gather round. Fill in the spaces, please, because I want to tell you a story. Come in. Come round. It's a story as old as the hills, but nonetheless relevant for that fact, especially to us today, at this time entering a new year. My tale takes place in ancient Persia in the 14th century, where the leader was the great Emir Tamerlane, who was the conqueror of all Asia. And he was known not only as being a fierce and forceful warrior, but he was known to be actually quite generous and open-handed to his courtiers. Although it was said of him that whilst he was good at giving out, he always seemed to take more back. And in his court was the incomparable Mullah Nasruddin. Now, Nasruddin at this time was the court jester and advisor to Tamerlane. And one thing, despite this prestigious, you would think, post, he didn't actually pay very much. So when the Emperor Tamerlane found out that Nasruddin was hosting huge, glorious, generous parties for people and giving out alms to all the poor people of Samarkand, he was puzzled. How could he do this on this money? So he called his guards and he had Nasruddin dragged in before him to explain himself. Nasruddin, he said, how can you be spending all this money? Have you been stealing from me? Of course not, Your Highness, said Nasruddin. I would not dare to do such a thing. I only spend my own income. Well, in that case, how do you earn so much money? Where do you get all this money to be able to have all this philanthropy and these great parties? Nasruddin looked at him and moved a little bit closer in some conspiratorial way and whispered, well, I have to admit, though it shames me to do so, that I make my money betting with rich men, and I always seem to win. Now, Tamerlane was shocked. People knew that Tamerlane liked to drink, that he liked to lie, and he liked to kill people. But he also had a secret urge to gamble. And so he gathered Nasruddin together and said, Nasruddin, you know of my great wealth. Would you dare to make a wager with me? I will wager 1,000 silver pieces with my face on them. Will you take my challenge? Nasruddin looked up at him and said, Your Highness, who am I? If you wish to lay a wager with me, who am I to disappoint you? I will take your challenge, and I will predict that tomorrow morning your greatness will have created the sign of Genghis Khan, your illustrious forebear, upon you. A small, blue, circular, full moon-shaped birthmark will appear. And I hesitate to say where, on your right buttock. Now Tamerlane thought, ha, no problem here. And he was also quite flattered at the reference to any sort of association with Genghis Khan. I agree! And he shook Nasruddin's hand. Get your money ready tomorrow morning. That night Tamerlane went to bed, but he slept fitfully. He got up 3, 4, 5, 6 times during the night, and with the help of a beautiful silver mirror, he just kept checking to make sure that no blue full moon had appeared on the royal nether regions. And when he awoke, he said his prayers and graced Nasruddin's humble abode with his imperial personage. "Nasruddin, you lose! Give me the money! I win again!" Nasruddin just looked at him. "Well, a bet is a bet, sir. Let's take a look." And so the great emperor stood before Nasruddin, turned his back, lifted up the top, the highly embroidered, beautiful with gold thread top of his outfit, and quickly dropped the pajama-like trousers. There was no mark of Genghis Khan. There was no blue birthmark that had suddenly appeared upon the nether regions of the great emperor. So Nasruddin gracefully handed over a bag of 1,000 silver pieces to the emperor, and he walked off happy. Now later that day in court, Tamerlane couldn't help but noticing that instead of a look of dismay and pain on Nasruddin's features, there was the biggest smile you'd ever seen. He looked incredibly happy. And so Tamerlane pulled him back in and said, "Nasruddin, how much money have you got left that you can still have a smile on your face?" "I have 3 times what I had this morning." "What? How can this be? Tell me, how can this be?" Nasruddin said, "Well, I lost one wager with you. Great one. But I won another one." "And what sort of a wager with? Who was this wager with?" "Well, actually, it was with your chief minister." By now, the emperor was consumed with curiosity. "Well, tell me, what was the nature of this wager? I command it." Nasruddin looked at him and said, "Well, the wager was for 4,000 silver pieces. That this morning, you, the emperor, would drop your trousers in front of me." And as his words hung in space, Nasruddin, the court jester, but certainly no fool, walked off to spend his riches. Toastmaster.